and welcome back to Down the Slope. You'll recognise my voice, and unfortunately, uh, we're a man light again, Craig. Liam's not feeling too well, but I am delighted to be joined by you again. We had a thoroughly enjoyable evening sitting talking about the Hibs on Thursday. We hoped that we were going to be coming back to another win, and oh, absolutely, that is exactly what we've got. Hibs won the Edinburgh Derby on Sunday afternoon. 2-1. I think a convincing second half performance. Just how are you doing?
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. I was a nervous wreck before the game, just as we were talking about off air just now. Pre-game was rough for me, but it was worth it. It was worth it in the end. So, yep, absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, I mean, just to give the sort of listeners and viewers some some context, I suppose. The I went over to speak to Craig and his brother and his dad before the game, and I certainly felt like I was much more aligned with my confidence levels with your dad and your brother than yours. Like you live on the East Coast. You're not you're a bit pale at the best of times, but you looked a whole different shade of white on Sunday before the game. Like, were you? I take it you weren't entirely confident, or you and the nerves had hit in at least.
Oh, it was just the nerves, to be fair. I think it was just sort of Derby Day nerves. I couldn't get out of my head that Hearts were going to be the team to end this unbeaten run that we've got. And I think just the thought of that was just too much for me. It sounds a bit pathetic, but honestly, I've never been so nervous for a derby in my life, and I don't know what specifically exactly made me that nervous, but I just was. So,
Ah,
but
well.
like I say, it was good in the end.
Was it anything team sheet related that had made you nervous? Or
No,
were
not
you
at
pretty
all.
chuffed with what you seen an hour and a bit before kickoff then with the team that came in, two changes?
No, I was well happy. I actually said that to my brother. That's pretty much exactly the team that I would have been
Yep.
looking to see going into the derby with the availability we've got just now. I think obviously if everybody's fit, it's maybe a wee bit different. But at the moment, we sort of touched on it. Everybody, you don't want to change your team too often. At the
Hmm.
moment, we're just making sort of slight, maybe tactical and maybe the odd rotational change to starting 11. But I think all things being well, that's kind of where you want to be, naming the same sort of lineup week in, week out, and everybody that's coming off the bench at the moment's making an impact as well, which is obviously contributing massively.
Yeah, so do you feel like that is our strongest 11 available just now then, and the team that, where possible you'd want to have out on the pitch every week currently with what we've got available? Obviously Newell sort of being the main injury currently.
Aye, yeah, I'll probably say so. I think the last few games, the Cadden and Miller situation is kind of up for grabs, to be fair.
Hmm.
I thought it worked with Cadden in the end, and obviously Miller comes on anyway, and actually in a such slightly different role to what he's been playing the last few games. But I thought he was very good in the game as well. So
Yeah.
no, that is about the strongest I would say we've got at the moment. Yep.
Aye, well, the game had only just settled down, and Hibs roared ahead. Martin Boyle with a wonderful finish, but I say the game had settled down. It probably hadn't actually.
No,
Really,
I
the
was going
game
to
had.
say I don't think it did settle down. I don't think we actually settled particularly well at all. I thought
Hmm.
Hearts were probably the brighter side. Well, certainly the side that out of the two settled down a wee bit quicker.
Hmm.
Even with us going ahead, to be fair.
Do you think that
Uh,
was maybe something? Oh, well, we'll come on to maybe the problems that we caused ourselves, but do you think that was something that the team were comfortable with in the set? I think going into the game, we probably expected that Hearts would probably have more of the ball. They're quite happy to knock it about their centre backs into Beningame and not particularly go anywhere. And we were quite happy to let them have it and try and catch them out, kind of like we did with the goal. Obviously, with one ball in behind. Like, do you think that maybe it's a difficult pill to swallow, maybe, especially at home in a derby? Like, I felt like there was even from early doors some itchiness in the stands.
yeah, there was a not just a bit. There was a lot of itchiness. Sort of as you progressed into the half, obviously when we score so early and to get that bit of a sucker punch, to be fair. Them scoring right away, it creates a wee bit of uneasy feeling in the stands.
Hmm.
And I just felt like we were maybe creating a wee bit of our own problems in the first half. Looked a wee bit
Hmm.
nervous, which you are going to be in a derby, but I felt we were. we just weren't sharp enough on the ball, to be
Yeah,
honest. There was too many
definitely
heavy touches.
definitely like an anxiety there, wasn't there? Or like just
Yeah,
a just not. Do you know we spoke on Thursday night about when we conceded that it still looked like it still looked calm when we conceded at Tannadice. Do you know like whereas on I just felt like that calmness and assuredness in the first half wasn't there, and that it wasn't even necessarily like it was. It just looked shaky, didn't it? But
yeah.
um, let's talk about that goal, Martin Boyle. I questioned, whether he should maybe have been dropped out. He hadn't scored for a couple of weeks. He'd missed some pretty decent chances in that time frame as well, to be fair to him. But took his goal magnificently well and celebrated in wonderful fashion. You'd have had a
Uh,
right good look at that goal where you guys sit in the stand.
it was a perfect view, to be fair. Obviously, as soon as not that it has to travel far, but as soon as he hits it, you know it's in. Uh, but I think it was an area definitely that we were really strong in down that sort of left-hand side, targeting Taylor. He's not a footballer. He's
No.
rotten. Uh, to get sort of bodied by Boyle. No disrespect to Boyle, but he's obviously not not a massively physical player.
Hmm.
As a defender, I'd be asking myself questions in the mirror about that one. But from Boyle's point of view, I can't mind who said it. It was maybe Iredale on his post-match interview said that that's apparently something they've been working on, that ball down the channel,
Yeah.
which I've not a problem with. I know some people like want to see us play silky football and all that, but how effective is that? If that's something that we've identified that there's a space in behind there, and obviously Taylor, he goes to sleep ultimately. Like
Aye.
it's like he didn't actually realise that Boyle was making the run and he was just covering off Nicky Cadden.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's brilliant from Boyle. Doesn't give up on it. Gets his body in, and then obviously a magnificent finish, kind of as he's leaning off it almost.
Yeah, he does really well just to adjust, I think, to get to the angle where he can, manipulate it on his right foot and actually give himself sort of half a chance of scoring in the nature that he does. But yeah, I think David Gray mentioned it as well. He spoke about it after the game. I think Campbell dropped a bit deeper and like I think he called it a reverse run or something like that. But I felt like we didn't do enough of that in the game. Like we spoke about it before the on last week's episode that we felt like, there'd be a lot of space for us to exploit in the wide areas and it was going to be really narrow, a lot of bodies in the middle of the pitch. And I remember when we were before Tannadice, when we got into Tannadice, we were there quite early, so we seen them in quite a lot of the warm up, and they were doing that sort of drill where they've sort of one's like centre back into Chiantis or Mariah Welsh out to the wing back that way. It felt like we were trying to force that all the time in the first half. Like there was a real reluctance to miss out a player or to just try and get it as direct as possible. And like Aki's just put in the chat there, with the way they naturally play, there is a massive amount of space that could have been exposed in that area. Which I mean, look, we absolutely got ourselves going in the second half and done that, and we will get to that. But yeah, like you say, we kind of got sucker punched just a couple of minutes later. Not a good goal to concede. Nobody covered themselves in glory with that one. At the game, I was adamant that, well, look, it was clear to me that, Rocky had made a mistake. I think Iredale had obviously made a mistake with just a bad clearance in the first place, but at the ground, I was adamant that Jordan Smith should have been out collecting that. Seeing it back, I'm probably not as
I'm the
adamant,
exact same.
but I
I'm the exact same.
still I think it's kind to say that he can't come from it. And my thought process is on that if a goalkeeper comes barraging out, he has all the advantage in the world. He can take bodies as long as he,
Gets the
as long
ball.
as he comes out with the ball in his arms, he can pretty much do what he wants. And I still think that maybe a better starting position that isn't sort of right on the line would help in these scenarios. And it adds to the sort of worry and the frustration, on the back of the Celtic goal last weekend as well. Not to get hung up on the negatives too much, but it was a really bad goal for us to concede, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was poor, and I think you're right in saying that it's not entirely Jordan Smith's fault. Like it's not. I was. Don't get me wrong. I was absolutely fuming at the game. I was certain that it was entirely his fault. But I think you could probably lay blame at sort of three, maybe even four different players' doors. I think it's just overall a really poor goal to concede.
Hmm.
Uh, aye. So, aye, it's not a good goal to concede, but we'll move
Well,
on then, eh? Because
well,
I've seen a
I think,
message.
I was going to say, I think we've our good friend Liam, who's obviously watching from his sick bed, and I'm sure he'll probably start commenting on the YouTube now as well. But he's told us to remind us that we've just taken 9 points out of nine and won an Edinburgh derby, so we're obviously supposed to pick up the energy. But we're starting slowly, just like Hibs did. Like
Get the rest,
lately,
Liam,
we're trying to tell a story here, Liam. You got to look, if you can't be arsed joining us, you don't get a comment. But no,
Oh,
look, look, the second half came and I mean the second half was absolutely phenomenal, wasn't it? Like Hibs were really, really
aye.
good in the second half and bossed the game as far as I'm concerned for the entirety of the half.
It was absolutely miles better. Uh, we were doing everything that we weren't doing in the first half in terms of getting the ball quicker to the wing backs, which was causing them major problems. The amount of times that we put the ball into middle, Swivel put out to Chris Cadden, the balls that Nicky Cadden puts in, man, honestly,
I
it's
know.
so good. It causes so many problems for defenders. He's a player with
Mhm.
ridiculously good delivery.
It just felt to me though, like we just calmed ourselves down. Like we remind, it's like old. It's like look, you're never going to know what David Gray said to him at halftime, but it is like David Gray just said to him, lads, like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's just calm down. Let's play football. And I just felt like in the second half, we looked like a team that we weren't going to lose the game, and that there was a confidence in everything that we done. Like in the first half, like. I know Chanty's got man of the match in the ground. I think Nicky Carron got it in the with Sky, and like they two players almost like typify that Nicky Carron was hardly involved in the first half. Chanty's was probably having his worst game in like 3 or 4 months in the first half, but then the second half it just flips, and I mean Trent is alongside the Mariah Welsh in the middle of the pitch, just got a full grip of the game and just absolutely ran ahead and ran the show as far as I'm concerned. Ultimately coming to Jack Iredale to score the winner, but was there anything out with the goal that you felt like really needs highlighted in the second half?
I thought Levitt was good when he came on. I thought Levitt. I felt like we were kind of screaming out maybe more so in the first half to be fair, was somebody to come on and get on the ball and really start dictating the play and spreading it wide, which actually in fairness Chant has done a good job of picking that up in the second half.
Hmm.
Uh, but I felt like the majority of our play and creating problems for them came down the left hand side. Like I just
Aye.
thought that was so key for us at the weekend, and which to be fair was kind of what we thought it would be. I know you highlighted at length last week, or maybe was that just Thursday there, about balls in for wide and how that was kind of a key, and it proved to be that. To be fair,
Hmm.
they just could not deal with it at all, and I actually think that in the end 2-1 is quite kind on them. Although we probably didn't test the goalie quite as much as I would have
Yep.
liked, and didn't maybe get enough away enough shots. But I think general play we deserve to win that game by sort of, I would say two maybe
Yep.
even three goals in the end. Just how dominant we were in the second half. And by the way, they were fucking shit in the second
Mhm.
half. They were really bad. Like shockingly so. I
I'm
expected
choosing
much
to
more.
I'm choosing to believe that Hibs were just that good in the second half that we didn't, we just didn't let them get on the ball as much, and
Aye,
that
why not?
as soon as we started to, let's say, as soon as we started to play our game and get the ball. I mean, Nicky Cadden's getting all the plaudits, but I thought Chris Cadden had a really good game as well. I actually think he might have had our only shot on target outside the goal in the second half.
Yeah,
It got worked into a really good position to get a couple of balls across that maybe on another day we could have done more with. And I agree that had had the goal come a little bit earlier, or had Rocky had a chance just after that, he sort of just got deflected wide. I think on another day we could have scored more goals in the second half. I know that that'll sound stupid because you can look at it and I think we maybe only had 3 shots on target and we scored two. We scored 2 goals, but it the second half there was just a confidence, a calmness, and I suppose an authority in the game. And I
Stats
just,
only do so much in terms of like looking at a game. Like I feel the old eye test massively helps as well, and the eye test was definitely telling me that
Mhm.
we were the absolute dominant team in that second half of the game, and realistically there was only really going to be one team to win it, and obviously to win it with a screamer as well helps.
Mhm. So what, like, if, I mean, well, I was going to take us down on that train there, Craig, right? But Jack Iredale. Oh,
Ah,
Jack Iredale. Oh,
we don't win derbies with screamers like that. Eh,
I
how
know, mate. They always score screamers. They always
what a
score
way to
screamers.
win a game of football and especially a derby as well. Like, and what a guy to do it like, 'cause he's definitely one of these gets it players. Like
Oh yeah,
he buys into it 100%. Uh, what a goal! I mean, technically unbelievable. To take it on, he kind of like traps it with studs almost from when he first runs onto it, and then obviously it just sets up perfect, and you've got to hit that. You kind of know, like
yeah.
no matter what the game is, what the scoreline is, like, you have to hit that.
Oh, it's a beautiful goal. It's one of them that I'm trying to think off the top of my head in terms of, really, really memorable goals. The only other one I can think of in like a derby for us off the top of my head, sort of in the last maybe 10 years, would be Stevie Malin scored against them, but we ended up losing that game, I think.
Yeah, we did
So,
2-1, I think.
like, it's just the whole moment, and then for that to be the winning goal as well, it's just unreal. And I mean, the atmosphere in the stadium, to be fair, throughout, or at least definitely in the second half, but from that point onwards was probably up there with it's up there with one of the most enjoyable 90 minutes I think I've had at Easter Road for potentially ever, or at least in most enjoyable 45 minutes.
Aye. I've got to be honest, mate. I actually did not enjoy the game at all because I was too nervous the fucking entire time. I enjoyed the two goals and then I enjoyed from the 95th minute onwards. Uh, because I was too nervous. But oh, mate, it was just so good. The feeling of relief at the end of that football match was just
So you're saying that it's a
absolutely
relief that you're
sticking out.
feeling there, and I totally understand that, but I just didn't think I didn't, as the second half went on. Now, obviously, you're nervous. It's only 2-1. Like we've said a million times, you're a football fan. You naturally think the worst. I just didn't see us losing that game. And when we went ahead, I didn't see us drawing the game. I didn't envisage anything worse happening in that game than it finishing 1-1.
Do you know what? Right. See, the thing is, I think quite often I do this after games when you obviously when the emotion of it comes out of a football match and you go, ah, we were never really in danger there, were we? And we weren't.
Hmm.
When you actually take a step back and look, we were never really in any real danger. They never really had any spells of real pressure in the first half. I mean, they did, but that was more so because we were kind of gifting them opportunities.
100%.
But even in the second half, when you take a step back, they offered nothing, and realistically, we were never really in that much danger. And I think maybe had that been a game, like certainly from my point of view, where if it's a smaller team or a less significant game, you maybe don't feel quite as nervous about it. But I know I was absolutely shitting myself.
Well, this is what I was thinking earlier. I think we've just played that game like we played it. Do you know, like when we beat Ross County at home, was it 2-1 or 3-1? And we were probably fortunate to get into half time at
uh,
1-1. And then we were pretty comfortable in the second half and, got the job done. I think we've just beat another bottom six side in the exact same manner.
yes, mate.
Like,
Yes.
like they've got. I think I said this to you. I don't know if I said this to you in the car last week or if it was on an episode. Like I can't remember, but they scream to me almost like Hibs last season, and I could see them missing out on the top six just before, just before the split. Maybe even it goes down to, maybe they'll be the ones that are on the, what was it Montgomery said, the brink of it being ecstatic or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I don't see it with them at all. I know they've been on a good run of form, but
Nah, fuck them. I hope they get relegated, mate.
no, I just don't see it. I think. I think they will finish bottom six. And I think we've just beat a bottom six side. Maybe that Liam's in there telling us to it's just running the mill, innit? That's what Hibs do. We just keep winning.
It's telling
And
you to
it's
cheer
like,
up for it's
cheer
running the
up.
mill.
It's just like it's just a normal Monday evening recording after beating a small side, mate. But was there any individuals that you've not already highlighted that you or any sort of combinations of that? Because I mean that left hand side is becoming a real strong outlet. I know it's easy to say. Nicky Cann's been fantastic all year now. Dale scores the winner, but it's a real area of strength as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think any side in this league that gets consistent good delivery into the box and just I remember last season when we were struggling and we played Killie away. Mind Junior scored that screamer,
Yeah, yeah,
and it came about as a result of us just playing a ball down the wing and then putting the ball into the area. And
hmm
it's like football genuinely isn't that complicated sometimes. Just make defenders defend. And I
yeah,
feel like that's actually one of the main strengths of our team is that because if you look at the first goal, that's although it's maybe something we worked on, it is ultimately just a ball into an area where you're asking your attackers to run it and their defenders to try and defend something,
yep,
and we get the better of it. So I think we're a team at the moment that has a real strength in just putting good deliveries
hmm
into good areas, and ultimately, if you do it enough, you're going to get results out of it. And that's not to sort of disrespect us in any way, say that we're just chunting the ball aimlessly. Obviously not. It's very clearly not that.
mm
Uh, but I think asking questions so frequently, you're going to get results eventually, aren't you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, what that says to me as well is that we've got a manager that will set us up to be effective and to be adaptable, like you said, that he knows we need to be and effective, adaptable, whatever you want to say. But he's a manager that is getting the results in the quote big games as we've three massive games this week that we've just taken nine points from, but three derbies, and as far as I'm concerned, that means I think it's 3 and out this year. But so far, hasn't lost any of them. 1-2, drawn one at Easter Road that we absolutely should have won. In this current run of form, beat Aberdeen home and away. We've taken a point off Rangers. We've played them at Ibrox when, but for a pretty poor penalty, we probably come away from there with a point. We beat Celtic at home, and it we've won home and away in a derby in the run as well. And the only game we've lost is now in 18 or 19 is at Celtic Park. When on another day you maybe could have got something there as well. Like David Gray for me, if you the Jack Ross big games tax, he is killing it on that front. And
Yes.
it exudes confidence into me and into the wider fan base, I think.
Aye, it's different to be a Hibs fan and sort of be consistently performing really well in these sort of big high pressure games. Hopefully that continues going forward, uh, even looking to Sunday as well. But
hmm
just to circle back, it's just I've seen a comment in the YouTube chat about Hoylett and Gale. I know you were asking if
Yes.
there's any other players that stuck out. I thought they were both absolutely excellent when they came on, particularly Gale. Obviously, we've all talked about his legs maybe going a wee bit, but man, the way he was pressing, I'd literally just finished saying to my brother, "Oh, we're maybe going to lose a wee bit a wee bit of the press with these two on now." And then next thing, Gale charges across towards the west hand side and
Yeah,
like just about 2 foot somebody. It
yeah.
was mate, they were both so good, and Hoylett just has that wee touch of class on the ball. There was a couple of times where the ball's in there and he just kind of plucks it out and takes the pressure off. And it
Yep.
just shows you sometimes how important a good first touch is in football.
Yeah,
Because
because
his
he's
first
not,
touch just sets him up. He's
and
not
he's
chasing the ball, it's just at his feet. He can then he's set to do what he wants.
the experience of them, and ultimately the skill that they've had. That's why they've played at sort of so many games in sort of the top flight of the English league and at a high end in the championship in their careers. Like the experience and the skill they have in the nous to just come on to games and just see it out and hold the ball up well. Junior Hoylett, you'd look at him and you'd think, God, like why would you bring him on when you're already winning, sort of thing. Some people would maybe coin him as a luxury player, but unbelievable. Just
Just that
that
calmness.
close control, calmness, exactly, and just a real assured performance off the bench from both of them in the last two games. I can't remember if they came on against Celtic, to be fair. And to be fair as well, Dylan Levitt I thought played really well when he came on for Mariah Welsh, and what you maybe could have lost in Mariah Welsh, who had had a fantastic game to that point and actually has just had a fantastic week, which I think we'll touch on in a little bit. Thought Levitt done really well. Lewis Miller done well, obviously coming on for Warren Horan. It's just another tick, another plus in David Gray's, report card that you maybe 4 or 5 months ago people were saying he gets his subs wrong, he's maybe changing things too quickly in games to see them out, but the I mean so I've just seen it in here. Where's it? Someone's put in the YouTube chat. Chris, I worry about how long we're able to keep David Gray. I mean, if he keeps proving himself to be, surely he's the best bald manager in the world, right? That's
At least he's not scratching his head and all that. Eh?
Oh mate, I know we had a slow start, but it's a fucking good time to be a Hibs fan, mate. And
It's
it's unbelievable.
it's so good, and on Gray, like I know we keep saying it, but do you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna gush over him even more. Like I could not be happier for anybody as a Hibs manager right now. Like I just absolutely love the guy, and
Mhm.
for him to be doing so well just now when it started so poorly, and I've got to say that the vast majority of the fan base obviously entirely stuck behind him, and we're putting the blame at other people's doors.
Apart from some
Uh,
specky idiot that's currently somewhere in Asia.
no, he's going to take offence to that one.
Yeah, he
Like,
took umbrage to that one last week or not, didn't he? But
so
get up him, he's not here to
we'll
defend
give him a
himself.
pass on that. Uh, but it's so good. What a guy Gray is, and sometimes I desperately, as a fan, want him to get involved in it more. Like at the end of games,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah.
him to be coming across and pumping us up, but I know that's not his style. Which is good in a way because he's trying to give it to the players, and maybe that's partly why there's such a good team spirit as there now as well, because he's making it all about the players rather than
hmm
maybe other managers have like Lee Johnson, where he comes across and it does feel like he's like main character vibes.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a class to David Granta. There's just the way he handled himself at the start of the season, and the way he's handling himself now is, you wouldn't probably been able to tell other than literally the words that were coming out of his mouth if Hibs were on a better run now than what they were at the start of the season. I mean that just he never threw it like you say, he never threw anyone under the bus. It was always on him. He always reiterated the confidence, and now the message has always been catching the next side, catching the next side. It seems to have flipped a little bit now that we're in third to making sure that we're sort of securing the top six as quickly as possible and going from there. But again, I go back to that just it's just a calmness. There's not an overexcitedness, and that has to be, that has to go through the playing squad and can only be a positive thing. But I mean, you're talking about wanting to get more involved. Set at the end of games, second sunshine on Leaf in 8 days. Potentially for me, best sunshine on Leaf outside the two cup finals in '07 and 2016, I would say. We've had a
Aye.
question come in as well from I've lost it, but I've seen it come in.
Aye,
Lofty,
it's
yeah.
okay. Okay.
Question: what's your first memory of Sunshine on Leaf? But I'm going to change that to what is your favorite Sunshine on Leaf, or even your earliest one? Maybe your first one will be your favorite one.
Do you know what? I'd
Is it
actually be
Sunday?
toiling. I'd be toiling to tell you my first one, to be honest. I really don't know if I can remember. The one thing I always remember about Sunshine and Leith is, and this, I mean, this probably tells you everything. It's the first song that I know for a fact that I knew all the words to. You
Right.
know, when you're younger, there's so many songs that you just kind of like hum along to some of the words, and then you know the chorus. This is the first song that I ever knew every single word to.
hmm
Uh, I mean, if the favourites have to go down as the cup final. There was actually a good rendition. I'm sure it was at fuck was it? It was either Hearts away or Motherwell away. I want to say it was maybe Motherwell away when things were shit at the start of this season.
Right.
Uh, when we when we beat them 3-0 right at the start of this run,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
and we sung Sunshine on Leith in the away
Definitely
end.
wasn't at Tynecastle, aye. I think I remember, I
That was
wasn't at
good.
that game, but I feel like I remember hearing that. Or someone
Just
videoed
give
it or
that one.
something, aye.
Ah, I've got another one. Sorry, I've got another one. I've got a better one. So this is going to bring up old wounds for you. Aston Villa.
Oh,
Aston Villa, Villa Park. That was absolutely class. No music, sunshine and Leith. That's different.
Well, seeing as we're bringing up old wounds for me, and I ignored Aki's comment earlier, never broadcast it, but he did highlight very early doors. It's my first time seeing us beat Hearts at home post-COVID because of the chocolate factory debacle. Um, absolutely. However, it it's small things like winning winning the games yesterday or not. No, I mean, it's not small, but narratives can really quickly start to change. I feel like, especially when it comes to a derby and a so-called period of dominance. I think I seen something today that Martin Boyle had played in 20 odd derbies and his record was pretty decent, or at least sort
It
of
was good,
like in term from what outsiders would have you believe. Do you know what I mean? Like I think as well, Hearts had only won in the last eight at Easter Road now or something. Like I know that that says unbeaten in the last four, with two wins and two draws. Like, and I know that that might sound so stupid and bare minimum things, but do you know if very quickly like. Say there is another game in the split and you go to Tynecastle and it ends in a draw or a Hibs win and then maybe you win the first Edinburgh derby of the season next year. Like that is the sort of stuff that gets those off the other side of the city absolutely up in arms. Like I don't know if you've seen them at the end of the game yesterday, but it was absolutely glorious viewing. A couple of the players obviously had the audacity to go over and clap them, and some of the Gorgie ultras looked rather miffed. But no, Sunshine, the post game stuff, Craig, for the second time and just bookmarking an incredible week was incredible, and it was really good to see Eddie May come out as well. I don't know if you noticed
I never
that.
noticed it at the time, but I've seen the
Aye.
clips after, obviously. Brilliant to see him back up and about. I think it would have been a massive shock for them all, players included as well. Because I
Mhm.
imagine he's one of these, or he strikes me as one of these like tough but lovable characters. Like I feel like he'd be quite a hard taskmaster in
Mhm.
and around the training ground. But brilliant to see him back up and about after quite a shock, to be fair.
Aye. Well, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but I mean, I was fine with this earlier. Outside cup wins, and I'm struggling to think of a better week that off the top of my head supporting Hibs. A home win against Celtic, a trip up to Tannadice and beating them in the sort of with the late show, and then beating Hearts. Like that is,
Pre-contract for Jamie McGrath.
oh, of course, it is an incredible time to be following this football club, mate. And I mean,
What a
it's
flippy.
like
You could
honestly,
be
I know.
sectioned if you'd sat here and said that a few months ago. Like, everybody's saying,
Oh,
shut up, you're absolutely mental. Like, there's no way that you're going to be
no.
sitting saying that. And some of the stuff that we obviously sat and said ourselves, you look back at it and you think to yourself, fucking hell, I've had a bit of a stinker there. But I think that was the popular feeling amongst the
Hmm.
support at that time. And it wasn't, I don't think we were alone in feeling like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we were unjustified in feeling like that. But I think
Aye.
just with a massive flip and turnaround, it just feeds even further into the good feeling that everybody's got at the moment.
Yeah.
It's so good to have such a connection with the team. Like, I was actually on the way home after the game. I was saying I vividly remember coming on here and saying like there's only like three or four players or squad at the moment that I would be gutted about losing,
Hmm.
and that's probably some of the ones that have been here with a bit more credit in the bank. But now I'm looking through it, I'm going, is there's barely anybody
Yeah.
that I
You
would
want
want to
building it
lose.
all, yeah. You want to build on what's here as opposed
Aye,
to ripping it all up. It's an interesting point, isn't it? Like, but speaking of players that are what am I trying to say here? Players that are building each week. The obvious one across the three games has to be Nathan Mariah Welsh. I think I know Kieran Bowie gets his goals. Jack Iredale. I mean, wow. I mean, but just to say wow again, what a fucking goal! But Mariah Welsh kind of in from the cold really. Across the three games and could arguably be man of the match in all three. Genuinely top
he's
quality
definitely been up
performances.
there. Really, really good. And like you said, coming out of the cold and produce three high level performances like that and three really intense games. I mean, not only physically but mentally, it must have been very, very
Hmm.
draining for him. And like the rest of the team, I'm sure they'll enjoy their few
Brilliant
days
couple
off
of
that
days
they'll.
off, aye.
I mean, they deserve it. Like there's not many Hibs teams in the past where you go like I sincerely hope that they've been given 2 or 3 days off just to recharge after that because what an effort from them all. But Mariah Welsh, I mean, so good, and he's a player that clearly puts everything into every game. Uh, I think he's had doubters, including myself, about his quality on the ball, but I think he showed in so many occasions in all 3 games that he's got every bit of quality that he needs.
Hmm.
Like he's a young player, so he's going to inevitably be inconsistent. I think you have to kind of prepare yourself for that a wee bit. But if he can show those sorts of level on any kind of consistent basis, he'll hold a position down in our team, no bother.
Do you think that position in there beside Trent is now his to keep? Maybe
Definitely.
potentially even when Jonio's fit again.
Yeah, well, Junior's the captain of the team, but that doesn't mean that you just come back and stroll back into the team.
Hmm.
There'll inevitably be games where will swap players in and out, so everybody's going to get their chance because I think it is actually that type of squad now where it's not just 11 we're looking at. There will be rotation. Obviously, you've got Mane as well.
Yeah, he wasn't even on the
Uh,
bench at the weekend, which was interesting.
well, to be honest, I, obviously Yuan coming back. Was Marv on the bench at the weekend?
No,
I'm not
neither
sure.
was.
Uh,
I have a hypothesis on that. To be fair, that I think you put Miller and Obita on because they can cover
Couple of
wing
positions.
back and either side of the back three. And also then, do you know, if it was Rocky that was the hypothetical injury, you could either move O'Hara or Iredale in one. Whereas I
But
feel like
Marv can
Marv
only
would
come on
kind
for
of have to,
Rocky.
aye. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
And I mean, you mentioned with Ewan coming. I mean, you had four forward options there on the bench that, and I mean,
yeah.
we spoke about on for Thursday night that you've got four players on the bench there that have all contributed at various points this season. I know like Kukurevich had a lot of criticism, but he still scored 4 or 5 league goals. Junior Hoylett started the season really well, obviously scored during the week and has shown his quality coming off the bench recently. We all know about Dwight Gale, and then obviously Luke Ewan didn't get off the bench, but to have him back on there as well is like a he really is a sort of like ace in the pack, isn't he? And
Mm,
the bench looked incredibly strong at the weekend. I mean,
so much
going into
stronger.
it, I know that obviously there's still some question marks over Kwon, but to have players there that you look at and go, "Do you know, we could, do you know, if we need a goal, there's players there that'll come on and get it. Like, and again, it's crazy, isn't it? Do you know, if you to say this like in October time, like that you sign
Yeah,
one player in January, he's not even making the squad, but you think the squad looks incredible.
I know, I know. No, it is.
It is
And
madness.
and just for Manny, I'm going to assume it wasn't an injury or fitness or anything. And I'm going to assume it's more brilliant man management from Gray because me and Mikey were kind of discussing before the game that like I just felt it would have been a bit harsh on Manny to put him into an Edinburgh derby with
Hmm.
such little experience at Hibs so far and such little experience of Scottish football. Like I felt like that could have been a real moment that if he comes on and he plays poorly or whatever, like it could really
Aye.
dent the boys' confidence, especially after obviously what happened at St Mirren.
I think it's.
So I'm just going to assume it's Gray being an unreal manager again.
I would agree. No, I think I'm with you. I'm just assuming that David Gray's a genius, but I would like to find that that is the case as well. And I do think that probably through the end of this season, or at least for the next, maybe until the split, that he should probably only be break glass in need of in time of an emergency. So I just. He didn't play. Was it since the end of November when he came in? And I mean, so that means since the end of November he's had what 10 minutes of football. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not great, is it? So it will be difficult to get him up to speed, and I'm just wondering as well, like especially after the week we've just had, it's not like we're going to be able to organise any bounce games or anything. I think we do get now we kind of calm down into sort of one game a week. I don't think we've got any. I'm sure there'll be a midweek game in the split. There
Aye.
generally is, but it there might be more opportunity, in the coming weeks to to get him introduced more. But like you say, there's absolutely no need to be second guessing anything that David Gray's doing just now, is there?
Not when the guys and his team is performing so well.
Hmm.
It's obviously manager a month ago, and he deserves all the plaudits. He won't take them, but
Mhm.
it's brilliant.
I think there's a question coming here, right, that I think we have to answer from Joe. And it just shows you that, well, being on your best run of form, was it since the late
I seen that.
1940s, does to you now, Joe? This isn't a criticism, but I think you might just be getting yourself a smidgen too carried away here. But Joe has asked us, we've got the bench. We have the best bench outside of the Old Firm. Can we catch
That's not wrong.
Rangers or Sevco, depending how you like to pronounce that one? With us probably playing them twice before the end of the season. Well, if we're going to catch them, we certainly will play them twice before the end of the season. Look, I'm going to say no, purely based on the fact that if you play them twice, you beat them twice, you've still got to pick up another 11 points to overtake them. I feel
Ah,
like Rangers might stumble across a couple more wins between now and the end of the season that will make that rather difficult.
nah, do you know what, Joe? You're spot on, mate. Ewan's been a pessimist as ever. Nah, it's too much. It's a bit too much work to do, but I love the optimism. I absolutely do love it.
It is absolutely bonkers though that like this run of form that we've got currently. I mean, 1949, I believe it is that
Correct.
this is since Hibs have went 15 games unbeaten. This is two-pronged for me. One, can you believe we're doing that currently? And two, can you believe it's actually been that long? Because 15 doesn't sound impossible. Do you know what I mean? Like this is an unbelievable running form, but I feel like how have like Turnbull's Tornadoes no done it? Or like how do you know like how have we
Yeah,
never done it? But where does that put this team in like is this side now, no matter what happens between now and the end of the season, for argument's sake, better than the COVID team? Or is it better than Jack Ross? That is Jack Ross's team, but is it better than Neil Lennon's team? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it better than Mowbray's teams? Like, do you know, like,
I think. Oh, look, ultimately, just very, very similar to an individual football match. It's not about how it starts, about how it finishes. So, and I know obviously we're not at the start of the season,
hmm
but ultimately it is going to, the sort of lasting memory of this team is going to be defined whether we actually do anything in terms of if we finish third or if we somehow manage to go on and win a cup, which would obviously mean we beat Celtic at Celtic Park. And this team either getting third or winning the cup would, yeah, it would definitely cement it in what one of the best Hibs teams of recent memory. Which again, every time I even fucking say that, I cannot believe I'm coming out with that. I cannot believe it, but I love that I'm saying it.
Oh man, it's so good and it is absolutely. I'm just having a quick look because I know that Neil Lennon's Hibs side that was our highest points tally, wasn't it? Let's see how we
Not sure.
compare. I'm sure that was our highest ever points tally. Why does it not show you the league table on Wikipedia now? Fuck's sake. I'll come back to that. I think it was 62 or 64.
Because
But
we finished fourth that season, eh?
we did finish fourth that season. So Hibs finished the season that season with a grand total of 67 points.
No.
We are currently on 43.
I look. I'd also like to remind because I know there'll be a sort of a few of our more experienced listeners, shall we say, that will obviously we're going on about how good this team was, and obviously maybe the runs are better than teams in the 50s and 70s and whatever it is, but we need to remember that
It's
these
title winning
teams in
teams,
those
is it?
days, yeah, they were
Two
playing.
points as well, isn't
But they were playing a lot of European games as well.
it? That's
My dad was saying to me the other day, oh, in the 70s we were playing this fucking Napoli, we were playing this team, we were playing Liverpool, we were playing that team. So there's obviously there is a pinch of context needed in amongst
Ah,
it, but ultimately a record's a record, isn't it?
absolutely. I mean, is it going to be 16 this weekend, my friend? That is the question. Looking good for a good. We might get to 7,000 Hibs fans in the away end at Celtic Park. The ticket sales are looking good. It's going to be look whether we do or not. There should be no criticism over. I think is it almost 6,000 tickets sold. I think already. It's an
Unbelievable.
incredible effort and it's going to be quite the game.
And I'd like to, I would feel wrong if I didn't mention. Obviously, we gave the board and the
hmm
owners and everybody high up criticism. But I think they're making a lot of right moves at the moment. Obviously, we're all, as I mentioned last week, we're all fickle, and at the end of the day, if we're winning games, and it doesn't really matter what you do. but the fact that they've stumped up the cash pre to get these Celtic tickets and just sort of trusted that the Hibs fans are going to do it,
Hmm.
I think it's a massive bonus for that
So I know
sort of being God and making the call, I believe. So fair play
the
to him.
the entirety of the lower tier is sold out that we've been allocated, and we're now on to the upper sort of the upper tier sections. That just having a look at the map just now, I'd say maybe a half of the section that we've been given's sort of getting sold. I don't know the exact dimensions of it, but I think look, it's going to be an incredible game, and we should be going there full of confidence, right? We've just beat them last weekend. There's probably a couple of interesting team selection choices. You know, like Lewis Miller has I mean, he just excels against Celtic. I
Aye.
just thought he was been tremendous, to be fair, in the minutes he's played across the last three games. But would he come in at right centre back for you?
Oh, I just seen Jason mentioning Miller should be starting, and I probably agree. To be fair, I think we've all kind of said in the past, Miller seems to do quite well against Celtic for whatever reason. Obviously, that is more, I think, at more right wing back he's played. I just feel like he gets to grips with Maeda better than Cadden does.
Hmm.
But obviously, maybe and sort of availability will decide that one whether we've got O'Hora. Because I mean, he looked fairly dull when he was going off. To be fair, it didn't look great. Hopefully not out for too long, but I would be very shocked if he's available for the weekend. Uh, but just back to your point about going through in there and be confident. Why not? Why fucking not?
Hmm.
Uh, we're going through there with 7,000 fans. I can't mind somebody tweeted that it's got the chance to be this generation's Ibrox when we went to Ibrox with however
Yep,
many thousand fans and won there. So obviously, even though we beat them at Easter Road, it's a monumental ask, like such a big
of
ask,
course,
especially after what we've put into the last three games. But why not? If we go there with a game plan like we had against them at Easter Road, obviously adapted to being at their place because it is a different game. It's a bigger
of
pitch.
course.
Uh, why not? Why can't we?
I see no reason why we can't. I think the week will do as well. I think the team probably picks itself. If one Hora's injured, I think Miller will just play as part of the back three and Cadden in front of him.
I think you're right.
If if O'Hara was to be fit, I think Miller just plays at right wing back and everywhere else the team is done. Bowie plays up front with Boyle, then Campbell, Mariah Welsh and Newell in there. There's
Janice.
oh sorry, did I say Miller? I'm loving Lewis Miller at the moment, putting him everywhere. But I see why no why can't we, mate? Why can't we? And do you know what? We've got the comfort blanket of if it doesn't go our way, then we just go, oh, 13 games unbeaten in the league. Right, there we
Aye.
go.
But just also, by the way, with Harry not being here, it would feel wrong not to say like I think, and I actually agree with him, and I know he gets pelters for it sometimes because it is relatively negative, well, in a way. But I think it's important not to get pumped. We've seen what getting pumped off of Celtic done for Aberdeen. Obviously, they got beat, what was it, 5 or 6 nil at
6.
Hampden, and that pretty much derailed their season
Hmm.
because they were still on unbelievable form at that stage. So I think let's just go there and give a good account of ourselves. If we come out, you see what happened last time. We gave a good account of ourselves and came out losing 3-0, and everybody was quite pleased with it, to be fair. Uh, so let's go there and
Hmm.
just have a good performance, and if we get a result, fucking unbelievable.
That's it, mate. It's a
But
cup,
just
innit?
don't get pumped.
Do you know, it's
Don't
like
lose momentum.
it's uh, it's the cup. Literally anything can happen. I'm gonna see. Look, Celtic won. Was it 5-2 at the weekend? But I watched the game on Saturday night. St Mirren we should have got something out of that game, I think, and well, they absolutely should have had a penalty. I'm sure there'll be weeks and weeks and weeks of front page and back page news about St Mirren's penalty they never got against Celtic. But look, I think what we should do here. Right, I don't know if you'll remember, we used to do um, a segment called Hibby of the Week, right? Back in the early days of this podcast, right? So I'm going to nominate three losers, and you can choose who the fucking loser of this week is, right? So we've got Jim Goodwin, I don't know if you've heard his pre and post match chats of. I don't know if you remembered they were playing Aberdeen yesterday and not Hibs because he kept fucking talking about
I
us.
missed that.
We are, oh mate, honestly, you should have heard him. He literally said in his pre-game thing that Hibs had benefited from the, like he referenced the goal that Celtic should have had, and they should have had, and basically said they were 4 points better off. It was like the paranoia level is unbelievable. So Jim Goodwin, Neil Critchley, just for I mean, look at him, and Lauren Shankland, who holy cow, what he was on another planet yesterday. The anger that comes out of that man. I mean, he's booking for booting the ball away and then has the cheek to say at half-time that they're on top when, I don't know, if I felt like I was on top in a game, I probably wouldn't be booting balls into stands. And then, I mean, David Gray said he might have had the best view in the house for the winner, but I think Lauren Shanklin might have had the best view in the house and just didn't look harsh. Just let Jack Iredale step on it and score a fucking raker. So, who is your loser of the week?
Can he no say a Jambo when they've lost the derby? Come on, it's Shanklin, but it's actually realistically Jim Goodwin. Uh, Mate, get it right up him. I mean the lack of sort of reasoning and accountability from Jim Goodwin is just unbelievable. Like we were talking about this before, but the very fact that it's like if Dundee United went 2-1 up, then that's a game done. Like we've not got any chance of scoring anything more, despite the
hmm
fact that we scored two goals after it anyway. Uh, anyway, aye, he's my loser of the week. I'm going
So
to
you're going
change
for
it.
Jim Goodwin,
Yeah, fuck it, because
right?
Lon Shanklin, look, Lon Shanklin's a prick and he's fat and he's shit.
And
But
looks like both Fantandek, as Kev's just highlighted in the.
looks like both. That's super. Uh,
Well, as soon as
Pennywise.
you've mentioned, as soon as you've mentioned Pennywise and Jim Goodwin, I'm going to go for Neil Critchley because I don't know. I mean, he loves the word hindsight, doesn't he? Does Neil Critchley? I mean, it didn't take a fucking genius to see where Hibs were hurting hearts at the weekend, and he stood there and just let it
Shocking that he's
happen.
not noticed that.
He just
Really bad.
stood there and let it happen, and I hope he stays Hearts manager for as long as possible because you want to talk about people that get it in that. I think he is the furthest thing from that, and I think he, by definition, is a loser, and I would quite enjoy it if he just hangs around there as much as possible. I mean, pre-game we spoke about it on the radio. They were talking about how Hibs would batter them down the wings, how Hibs were more physical, this, that, and the next thing, and ah. Neil Critchley.
He's
Stop
very
crying, Neil
forgettable,
Critchley.
isn't he? He's
Aye.
just a
And he
very
never sees
forgettable
anything
little
coming.
man.
Never sees anything
Aye,
coming.
aye.
Oh, we've had some mentions in on this one in the chat. So Chris Black, it's so funny how Critchley keeps saying he never recognises his team. It kills him. Says it every other week. Ian's going for Goodwin because he hates him more than Critchley. Pete goes for Andy Halliday. That must have been fucking killing him,
Andy
mean in the Sky
Halliday.
Studio yesterday. Uh, Joe Leslie, I'm surprised Shanklin didn't have popcorn and a deck chair out to watch Iredale's Screamer. And Jason, lad, need to get a cheer up Neil Critchley song going. Well, Jason, I would encourage you to go on to Twitter. I don't know who tweeted it again. We need to start bringing references with us. But
Receipts with us.
there's a lovely song going around from one of the pubs in and around Easter Road on Saturday night. So I'm sure you'll be able to find that and have a good one. Craig, this is, I mean, I know, Leah, I know maybe we came on and we weren't quite as hyped up as we should have been, but you got to appreciate it's a Monday night. We just had a heavy week, mate. I can just feel the energy drain out of my
Oh,
body.
mate, I was absolutely knackered after that. I don't know about you, but see, yesterday, like I was spent after the game.
Aye,
I mentioned that actually. I kind of felt the same after that as I did after the cup final. Like I just felt,
aye, aye.
it was so good, but like I felt like I'd been on the park playing. Like God knows how a guy like Josh Campbell feels. By the way, he must be the fittest dude in the world. Because to be a Hibs fan and to play in that type of game, I'm not just talking about a normal game, but that type of game with all the emotion in it, and being a Hibs fan, he knows exactly how we're all feeling. If he was even half as nervous as I was, like to go out and perform and run about and press and put everything into it as much as he does, like fair play to him because that must
Mm,
have, it must have properly taken it out of him.
I know. I mean,
Love
see,
him,
we weren't
Josh
far off
Campbell at
where
Jesse.
we weren't far off where a shout either. They had a good chance with his head. We were close. We
It was
we
so
weren't
close. Do you
far
know what?
off.
At the time, just I know it's a tangent because we're
Gets
going
there too
back to the
early.
game, but at the time when the ball comes in, I went, "Oh, it's unlucky." Like that was a difficult header, and then I've seen it back, and I thought, do you know what? He actually should do better with that.
I
Like,
think he just gets there a couple of seconds too
he's like
early, kind of
under it
gets
almost,
stuck
eh?
under it. I think if he's just like and a yard or two back, I think he runs on it and can probably just volley it home. As a, I think he's under it and has to try and manipulate his
Uh,
body to try and score a header. But
Shout out you, Josh Campbell. I fucking love you, mate.
fucking love you, Josh Campbell. Super Josh. But
I backed you for the start. I've always backed you.
and again, unlike a fucking specky, I do this on
Get
my
up,
page
you
now.
Harry. Hope you're listening.
Well, Craig, I think that will just about do us for tonight. We are coming up to our mark. Hibs have beat Hearts, we've beat Dundee United, we've beat Celtic, and we're unbeaten in 15 games. Edinburgh is, as ever, green and white, and as Jack Iredale said, it is just too sweet. Cheers!
Cheers.
Class.